More Than Just a Pretty Face, Chapter 9. There were only 3 days a year when Chef Brodier broke out a set of small porcelain heart-shaped dessert dishes at Remarquable. I was good at setting hearts aflame, so it totally made sense that this was the one she asked to torch creme brulee the night before Valentine's Day. That's a dessert. It was a holiday that Brodier took seriously. How can it be a holiday if we still have to go to school? But I didn't know if that was because it was good for business or because she actually cared about it. She did care about the special dishes, though, because she was on me like a hawk when I almost dropped one. You must pay attention to what you are doing, she snapped, pointing savagely down at the desserts. Sorry, Chef, I said. She sniffed, obviously disdainful at both me and my apology. I waited for her to say more, but when she didn't, I went back to work. I love a good creme brulee. Actually, I love custard. There's a simple purity about it. I don't necessarily like standing there with a torch, caramelizing the sugar on top. It can get a bit boring if you do it over and over again. Today, however, I was happy to be doing it. For one, the late lunch crowd didn't really order a dessert a lot. Second, watching the white sugar turn a lovely crunchy brown felt like satisfying middle finger to Churchill. Sometimes a little color is a good thing. Winston, You seem distracted tonight, Chef Brodier noted. But I suppose it is a time of year for young people. It took a moment to figure out that she thought I was distracted because of a girl. It would have been good guess, usually, but it had been a weird semester so far. Actually, I was thinking about Winston Churchill. She raised an eyebrow. At that, I suppose there is no accounting for taste. What? No, it's just I've been reading depressing things for school about the British Raj, and it kind of got to me. Ah, Brodier said, her French accent suddenly becoming more pronounced, her tone a little searing. The British. You don't like the British? Their empire was the greatest tragedy in the history of the world. Really? I asked. Are you interested in politics? Politics, of course not. Food, Mr. Jelani, all that matters is food. Yes? Can you imagine if the French had taken India? What magnificent fusion of our two food cultures would the world have seen? Instead, the British got there, and all they came up with was... She paused to shake her head in disgust. Chips and curry. For the first time since I Googled the Bengal famine, I laughed. She nodded. Better. You must always smile when you're cooking, Mr. Jelani. Otherwise your work, I have found, is not good. But you never smile when you're working. This is true, Chef Brodier agreed. I am, however, much more talented than you. In any case, fools should be happy, always be happy. It is, you see, all they have. I was pretty sure I'd been insulted, but I wasn't really sure how to respond. It's just, did you know that there were a series of famines in India under the British, and the biggest of them, the Bengal famine, killed like 3 million people or something? I did not. Brodier sounded more serious than usual, which I hadn't thought possible. Nature is cruel at times. Not nature, I said. It sounded like a ridiculous thing to say, of course. It was hard to imagine that human beings could cause a famine. From what I read, however, scientists had somehow studied the soil and found that a lack of rainfall had not been the problem. I mean, it was the way the Raj handled things, what lives they chose to care about and what lives they didn't. What do you mean? When they were trying to figure out where to send food, Winston Churchill said it was less important to feed Indians who already didn't have enough to eat than to feed sturdy Greeks. She raised an eyebrow at me. Sturdy Greeks? I shrugged. I wasn't the one who said it. Also, the British totally looted Bengal, so the people there couldn't help themselves, and they adopted policies that made everything worse. Churchill even had food that could have gone to Indian ports, kept in some country called the Balkans. It isn't a country. Oh, okay, but still, she agreed. Anyway, I'm sorry, Chef. I mean, I guess no one thinks it matters anymore, but everyone says Churchill is great and no one tells this part of his history. It's just, it bothers you. When I nodded, she smiled, actually smiled. I didn't know her face could do that. I glanced around quickly to see if anyone else had seen it, but it didn't appear they had. No one would believe me if I told them. Good. Good? But of course, maybe you'll be a chef after all, no? What? I don't see how they're connected. What I don't see, she said, is how you can expect a strand to stand around talking and keeping your job when there's work to be done. I opened my mouth to protest. I wasn't the only one who started the conversation, but then I stopped myself. I knew perfectly well there's only one acceptable response. The two words I said most often in my life. Yes, chef. Hey, Danielle. A lot of people have used my name in my life, and I heard it a million times, but no one ever said it like Kaval Sabzari. She made my name sound like it had been dripped in rich, creamy, melty chocolate. I don't think I was imagining it either, because her friends, who'd been walking with her, giggled and scattered, leaving us alone. How were the girls so good at that? I never managed to make Sorab or Zar get lost when I wanted them to leave. In fact, just like they had at Svarva's, the Subvari's basketball court, they tended to show up when they were the least wanted. Happy Valentine's Day. I swallowed. Yeah, you too. I didn't really know how to make of that. Muslims and Valentine's Day didn't mix well. A bunch of people think celebrating romance runs counter to Islamic values. Saudi Arabia actually bans roses and everything in the shape of a heart for the 14th of February. In Pakistan, there's a court ruling prohibiting Valentine's Day celebrations. I remember my parents laughing about it, wondering if it would lead to an underground market for suddenly dangerous flowers. Apparently, there is little government can do to keep people from celebrating what they want. Personally, I had never made a big deal out of the day because I never had anyone to celebrate with. I hadn't even thought to say something to Kaval, much less get a card or whatever. I had no idea how she or Sorab would react. Anyway, I guess it didn't matter for this year because she was already moving on to another topic. How's the contest prep going? Fine, I'm sort of having trouble coming up with the thesis. She frowned. What are you talking about? So simple. It is? Sure. Tippett thinks Churchill is great. All you gotta do is list the reasons why. There's no way to mess up. You'd be surprised, I muttered. I'm sure you'll be great, but if you're really worried, I promise to help you. Why don't you put some notes together and I'll do the same. Then we can meet up and see what we have. Sure, I said, suddenly feeling a lot better than I had seconds ago. That'd be awesome. Just like that, I had a smile on my face, and I was going to get a chance to spend time with Kaval. I was heading to the one class where I could chill. In English, I could zone out, shut off my mind, and totally relax. After all, there's no reason to worry when it comes to English. If you already speak the language, you're probably going to pass as long as you read summaries of the books you're given and hand in most of your essays. I'm pretty sure even the teachers don't expect you to pay attention. It's always an easy B- or C+. This year, it was even easier than usual because all we ever did was write a few paragraphs about stupid things no one cared about. Ms. Hart, our teacher, was on maternity leave, and a parade of subs we got in her place weren't really interested in preparing lessons. I liked them all. Anyway, the topic of today's essay, which no one would read, was our perfect date. This I thought was unreasonable. How was I supposed to come up with the whole essay about that? The perfect date would be any date with Kaval. There, all done. One sentence, boom. I was just about to put my phone away and pretend to start writing. Really, I was, when I saw Sorab raise his hand. The sub, who seemed obsessed with constantly checking to make sure her perfect bun of golden hair had not unraveled even a little, looked surprised. Yes, she glanced down at the seating chart. I'm sorry, what's your name, please? Sorab. Yes, how can I help you? It's Sorab, and I need a different essay topic. I don't date for religious reasons. I rolled my eyes. Come on. Someone groaned at the back of the class, loud enough for everyone to hear. The sub seemed tempted to do that same. Fine, she said. What do you want to write about? Your dream date would be like instead? I don't have a dream date. I don't date for religious reasons. Dude, I want to tell him to shut up. Yes, the teacher drawled with exaggerated patience. I got that the first time. I'm asking you to use your imagination. I'd rather not, Sorab said. Now the sub narrowed her eyes at him. Fine, write about something else. Like what? Whatever you want. Write about your last birthday, or maybe the best present you ever got. For my 16th birthday, Sorab said, I got a fragment of a spent American bomb. Silence. The sub stared at Sarab, her brown eyes so wide I was pretty sure they were about to pop out of her face. I guess I could write about insidious illusion that the United States military-industrial complex is benign force for good in the world, when it is really just a soulless machine for oppression, exploitation, and destruction of people who look more like me than you if you want. More silence. Someone whispered, "Wow." Then everyone was talking at once, and Sarab was sent to Principal Weinberg. My gosh. After class, I hung out at the principal's office waiting for Sarab to be let out. What was his problem? Just write the essay, dude. It isn't gonna to get you slapped with a fatwa to imagine a date. It was his own fault. He was in trouble now. Still, I had hoped the poop hit the he wasn't in deep. A few people walked by, giving me curious glances and waving. I nodded back. It was exactly 28 minutes before Sarab walked out. I know because I was on my phone and the battery was about to give out. He managed a smile when he saw me. "I should have known you'd be here," he said. "What do you mean? It's the very thing you do." I didn't know what that meant either, but decided to let it go. He didn't look worse for wear, although he'd already looked kind of horrible that day, like he hadn't slept in a very long time. Now that I thought about it, though, he seemed to be a little more tired every time I saw him. "You look paler than usual," I said. Sarab brushed off my concern. "I'm fine. You in trouble?" I asked. I managed to avoid attention, though I have been asked to show some restraint when I speak up in class. "That's fair." "No," Sarab said. "It's really terrible, actually. They might as well put up a sign outside the school. Please refrain from voicing your opinion so as not to challenge how we see the world through the lens of our privilege." That's a long sign. He nearly growled at me. Not everything is a joke. Not everything is a fight, either. It's just a stupid essay topic. There's no reason to say all that. If we're always silent, no one will ever see the world as we see it. It's a good quote. Fair, but if you always are lecturing people, they just tune you out, like Czar and I all do all the time. He made a face. So how do I decide when to speak up and when to not? I've been thinking a lot about that, actually. Really? You've been thinking? That's new. Look, who has jokes now? He grinned, and I realized it had been a while since I had seen him smile. It seemed like he was grim all the time now, and maybe that was a little on me. I always went to him, and there was something big, weighty to discuss. 1:43, I'm going to stop there.